Welcome to the Cricket Weekly podcast on the Reverse Scoop with Adam and Nabil. How are we doing, Nabil?
Doing great, Adam. Welcome on board, everyone. How's everyone doing? Early start to the week for everybody, I guess, right? And I hope everybody's having a good, start to their weeks. And it's Tuesday here. Big news coming out of USA Cricket. Another ODI win for them against UAE. So some great performances, and we want to discuss that up front and foremost about USA cricketing updates. And we'll get into, how to get youth excited about cricket in America. So we've got some points planned up for that. So we'll go over that. And yeah, Adam, how you doing, man? Are you ready to do this exciting episode this week?
Doing great. Yeah, you want to get the youth excited in cricket, then have the youth Americans team win, which they did today. They absolutely nailed it today against the UAE. Super excited. They were playing obviously super early, being on the East Coast here. They're starting at 3 a.m. because of time zones.
Yeah.
But, getting up, going to work the morning, seeing they had already chased down half of the runs this morning by the time I checked the score. It was very exciting. Then to see the final score, very, very happy with that. Very excited for the win. So,
absolutely, man. It's bring on the scorecard just for the viewers, and people are still joining us, I'm sure. And drop your thoughts into the comments on this USA win, and your thoughts on Sai Mukamala, right? I hope I got that right this time, and I've butchered that name before, but that kid again, another 100, and then Milan Kumar, in the middle order, scoring a 155, man, and super impressed with the performance overall, scoring 339, their highest ever score, I believe, in ODI cricket, and just demolishing UAE, man.
Yeah, highest score 200s. I don't know if there's a time that in US history where they've hit 200s in the same game. So I'm just calling it the first time ever because I don't know if it's ever been happened. It's ever happened before. So I mean, that's just like I mentioned this before the last game. I said Goose needed to go on and score 100. It's just good for the game for him to score 100. He got out for his 80 odd. But to have two of the guys score 100 is just very, very good for the game. And here another good bowling performance. Netravolka takes 3. Van Kalsik, he actually got 4 wickets in the last game, 4 for 59. Another good game here with another wicket. Kenjige, 3 wickets here. Another rising up and comer USA cricketer. Just been on a tear. I think last game was the only game he hasn't really got a wicket in. He's lost 8 or so appearances. And Jasdeep Singh in there with a couple of wickets. So, yeah, Team USA across the board functioned very well. And we have to consider that this is a almost new look side compared to what we had in the World Cup. So, a lot of new faces in here. A lot of big changes, going with younger guys rather than the technically more experienced guys. And sometimes that's what you got to do. Sometimes what you got to do. If you're in form, you're in form.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, the team is performing, that there's a core being built. And, youngsters are coming through. That's really important to see. Smith Patel, is not very experienced, doing well up the top of the order. Andres Gauss has performed. The skipper, Monank Patel, has performed. Sai Mukamala, Milan Kumar. These guys have performed, and then you're going to add obviously Steven Taylor to this, Aaron Jones to this, a couple other guys. So it's going to be a strong batting lineup, looking at the next T20 World Cup, right? Because that's where they're trying to build towards, they want to make the best team, some of those guys will come back into this lineup, really good to see the competition, being built up here, and it should be for everybody to see these performances. So,
absolutely,
Yeah. And we look at the bowling card for USA, against Saurabh Netravalkar amongst the wickets, 3 wickets for 32. Shadley Van Schalkwyk, 1 for 42 and 6 overs, bit expensive there. Kenjige, again, one of the picks we spoke about last week. This guy, again, puts in the effort, puts in a ton of work, and I'm super impressed with this guy, man. Again, 10 for 30, 10 overs, 36 for 3, and then 2 wickets for Jasdeep Singh, and nothing for Yasir Muhammad, and 1 for Milan Kumar as well. So man of the match was Milan Kumar for that 1 wicket and the 155 in this match. So
well deserved.
Super impressed with the performance, man.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's just good to have. That's the whole point. The whole point of USA cricket is that they should need to be winning these games.
Yeah.
having really good performances, fourfers, fifers, taking hundreds, 50s, just keep constantly scoring runs. I think, the Aaron Jones and Taylor, aren't playing in the team, but you have to consider there's also like Anderson that could play. And you also have guys like, who else did like the one guy that could jump out, the guy in the middle of the order there with I can't say his name, with the J.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly like what his place in the side does. He's like the sixth order batter always, but he also doesn't bowl. So I mean, there's room to put different people in there. Plus, you have the guys from the MLC. Ali Khan isn't playing, could be playing, should be playing. So we definitely have options. And I think one of the cool things that we could be doing is having like in Australia we had USA. Oh, sorry. In Australia we had Australia versus Australia A.
Yeah.
That would happen every now and again. I think it'd be really cool to have two USA sides play each other like quite regularly, just to have the names and like up and coming and battling against each other to get that spot, because it's going to be to really cement the side down. It's about the gel of the side. Technically you could be, there's a lot of people with good players to pick from, but it's about picking the best, team that's going to kind of like gel together.
Yeah.
Like we've kind of watched from the T20 World Cup through to now, through to this particular series, like Taylor and Jones be the top of the order. They kind of switched that for this last couple of games. So that could be a trend moving forward. It may be different for the one days through to the T20s, but I really think that if you're playing one days, you can cross over to the T20s. It's basically same. It's not like you're the bat or quality goes down, just the mindset, how to
Yeah, yeah, different
compete.
mindset, a different game, you know, altogether. So like, I think that's where they're looking at. This team is probably being built for the ODI, setup, and it looks to, be doing super well. And we're still going to get guys added on to this lineup, But T20, obviously, there's going to be, I'm thinking, changes, multiple changes that they may not be looking at certain players as, T20 players. So it just depends on the mindset of the selectors at this point. So and the
Yeah.
preference as well. So those are some key things, and we're going to get into our topic for tonight, man. Building the next generation, how to get youth excited about cricket in America. I'm going to drop a question for you guys in the fans, and let us know what you guys think in the comments. What aspects of American sports culture should cricket focus on to attract fans here in the US? So let us know what you guys think, and tonight we're going to talk about last week first. Let me recap a little bit. We talked about marketing, cricket to Americans, and what we learned was, that NFL and NBA big brands, they like to create players into big brands, which USA Cricket seems to be lacking. And from that, I think youth players here that are looking to get into the next level and play the next level, they really need to learn these skill sets of being able to put out their own content and really market themselves by just showing people their own personality. We've discussed this, Adam, in the past few weeks or so on the pod, right? So talk about just to recap and importance of for youth cricketers to try and really take the next step in their education, not just on the field in cricket, but off the field, and really showcasing their personalities.
Yeah, well, I mean, it does help the other sports having role models for kids to get behind. Like Steph Curry probably comes to mind. A
Yeah.
lot of kids just love watching Steph Curry play, and he's good with kids, and it's a feel good for the game, and they can kind of inspire to be someone. And it could be anyone. Like young kids, they gravitate to any kind of sports star. Growing up, for me, looking at American sport, it was Michael Jordan, it was Tiger Woods,
Yeah.
A-Rod. Like these are the big names that you hear. And even I followed soccer, full football, European footballs, like Manchester United and Wayne Rooney, like these people that you just see as incredible athletes. You kind of inspire to be like them one day or do what they could do, and that kind of thing. So the thing for cricket is like, all the cricketing nations are outside of the US. So the current people that we look towards, come from a different country. And then you consider that
Yeah.
most of the people that are playing here in the US are from the subcontinent. So they're people that they look to in their cricket, like, stars, are from Pakistan, India, that kind of thing. That's kind of who they're looking to. So we need to be growing our own homegrown talent for people to get behind.
Yeah.
And the focus being on today on the youth and growing it, it really has to be, to get the grassroots and the sport to grow, there has to be infrastructure for the sport to grow. So,
Yeah.
if you take the current sports like you kids are getting into, they're getting into Little League. So Little League is set up everywhere. Every field in America has a baseball diamond. And that would be the comparison in Australia. Every field in Australia has a cricket pitch, even if it's a AstroTurf wicket or a concrete pitch. Every council run, we call it council, you guys call it the town. Every town field has soccer fields on it. It's like a dual soccer field with a cricket pitch in the middle. And over here, that infrastructure isn't built into the town. Right? You have baseball pitches everywhere, baseball fields, you have soccer fields, but it's not designed to accommodate cricket. So from the outset, just putting a cricket team together has to go through a lot of effort. I know you at New Milford, you guys had to get, the Parks and Rec and whatever to get the cricket pitch put out there, and Aaron Danbury had to get the mayor involved and get a cricket pitch put out there. So that's one of the key areas, is like the grounds roots clubs have to go through a lot of work to get the towns involved to help build facilities to host cricket. And then it kind of goes to, okay, so then it's not naturally funded or naturally filtered through the school system. And it's all outside clubs. Outside clubs can work. Right now you have outdoor field hockey or outdoor lacrosse, flag football. Some of these club sports for kids come outside of school. But basically just the infrastructure and the mindset around, oh, I have a 10-year-old. What am I going to get them to do? I'm probably going to get them to play flag football. I'm probably going to get them to play Little League. That's probably what I'm going to do with my kid. Maybe I get them to play soccer. Yeah. But because there's no real path for them, their thing is, well, they could be a baseball, they could be a footballer, or they could be a soccer player. That's really maybe the fringe is a tennis player. Maybe your fringe is a lacrosse player. But there has to be a pathway for parents to be able to be like, oh, I think I want to get my kid involved in cricket. And because cricket isn't really, focused on in American sport, it's hard for parents to go that way.
Yeah, we're starting completely right from the start, essentially, right? So it's, what's really important, right? In my opinion, I think is to obviously, have that inclusivity by trying to start, youth rec programs and introducing it to as many people as you can. That's what I see that, is our jobs as cricket advocates and people who are playing cricket in America and part of clubs and teams and wanting the cricket to grow. They obviously should be looking to introduce cricket to new audiences, because that's probably where we can light some type of a fire, right? And once the fire is lit, we can throw some gasoline on it, right? So right now, I mean, it's just we're still getting two rocks and smashing them together to find that spark, essentially, right? So but again, youth rec programs is, I think, the key thing, right? Because we look at an example in New Milford and Danbury, there are youth rec programs in place where, younger kids now at least have an opportunity to come and, learn about cricket. And if it interests them, it's there for them to come and be a part of it. So I think those are just the opportunities that we need to grow, work with your town, work with your council, and work with your park and rec, and launch, youth rec programs, because that will really pay off, in the next 5-10 years, if we're able to really get, this town's attention. Because if the town could get behind it, more work can get done after that point. But I think we're just right at the start from the grassroots perspective, that this is what we can do. And then from the NCAA perspective, whenever that happens and that flow starts to come down and we meet that process somewhere halfway kind of deal, So
yeah,
that's what I'm kind of trying to envision it as.
Yeah, one of the other things to consider is that it's specifically coming from Australia, not only is it like the bigger sport and it's kind of part of the culture, but companies basically fund and brand themselves into cricket. So like the company Milo is a brand of basically like Nesquik
Yeah.
for the Americans. It's like a chocolate
I remember
malt
that.
that you
Yeah.
put it in your milk, right? So
Yeah.
Milo basically built their own brand of kids cricket. It's literally called Milo Cricket, and
Yeah.
all of their equipment is like plastic equipment for kids, and they use tennis balls, and it's all branded with the word Milo on it. And literally, Milo cricket is like the under 10s. If you're under 10 years old, that's the cricket you play. And it's like mini
Yeah.
forms of the game. It's not even on a pitch, it's just
Yeah.
basically on a field.
Yeah.
And you get the kids involved with plastic bats and plastic stumps and a tennis
That's right.
ball. And that's what you send your kids to do, after school. They play Milo cricket, like little league. It's like Milo cricket. And then that's one thing. So it's all branded by a company, and that company gets obviously free advertising because
Yeah.
they're basically have the monopoly on that entire brand of cricket. Then you have companies like Wheat Bix. So
Yeah.
Kellogg's is the company, but Wheat Bix essentially is a cereal in Australia,
Yeah.
and they basically market all of the cricket sports stars. And
Yeah.
their slogan is like, how many Wheat Bix do you do? And they get all the
Wow.
cricketers to say how many Wheat Bix they did. And so the Wheat Bix is synonymous like with growing cricket also. Like that's
Yeah.
basically weaved into the culture of branding in
Yeah.
Australia, is that companies get kids involved in eating healthy and playing cricket. And it's like this whole ecosystem of advertising through
Yeah.
healthy eating and going to play cricket and playing Milo cricket and like being Australian.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So like that is there's an opportunity here if an American company like you could just take Kellogg's for example. I know that Kellogg's is here or Frosty Flakes or whatever. You could just take a brand and marry it with
Yeah.
cricket, and that literally takes off, and then your company is free branding.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a
That's what
massive missed
yeah.
opportunity, man. It's
Yeah.
I absolutely agree 100%. And it's a massive, massive missed opportunity on being able to, let's say, launch these youth cricket leagues, under these big brands and leveraging them. Same thing with, we talked about other sports leagues like NFL, NBA. You can piggyback off of what they're doing for their youth leagues and that type of leagues to attract those types of audiences that are already following all three of those sports, because you want to be part of the sports community, right? You don't want to compete with an NFL or an NBA or a MLB. The idea is to be a part of it. So, they view cricket as one of those sports, as NBA or, football or, baseball. So that's, I think, the idea. But, again, I don't think, USA Cricket and the admins are even thinking about these types of strategies, because I'm not sure if it's the budgets or what it is, but these strategies is what they should be looking to do. We talked about, the missed opportunity at the T20 World Cup in our last episode. They could have brought up big celebrities, big iconic players from NFL or NBA, a LeBron James or a Steph Curry, to introduce cricket to new audiences, right? But didn't happen, right? So massive missed opportunities are consistently happening, and I don't know, what can happen to really fix those issues, but we're gonna stay on the
Yeah.
youth cricket stuff, man. So, so youth cricket, we talked about the youth cricket league, we talked about the school program and the community engagements, and the importance of obviously, building the fan base around this youth league because they will mature at a certain point in time, right? So, what, like, how do we, get ideas from, let's say, other programs around the world and apply them here? You talked already about the Australia one with Milo and really using the branding. But when it comes to actually launching these programs here in a practical US environment, right? What do you suggest, the people like, that are running cricket leagues, for example, should kind of do? Because I think that's the starting point of introducing, cricket to more leagues is the inclusivity, getting the opportunities out there by creating these leagues.
Yeah, so not only is it like growing the youth cricket, but like so one of the things obviously youth cricket, to get your kid involved in sport, you have to have a parent. So you also want parents involved in the sport. So you also want the adults involved inside of the sport so that they can get their kid excited. Because a lot of decisions that happen for kids come from the parents. So like an 8-year-old isn't really driving their own life until like are they going to go play cricket or not? It's the parents. So one of the other factors we have to look at is like the parents have to get involved. And so who is that? So your average American has to be excited for cricket and has to see an avenue for their kid to play in that cricket because they see that avenue in the other sports. They see the avenue in baseball, like, okay, my kid can play little league, then he can step up and he can play in high school. Then he can play, if he goes really good at high school, he can go to college and play. And if he's a D1 player or a AAA player, where he can get a AAA or he can get scouted. Like there is a clear cut avenue for those sports, and also in football, they can play flag football, then go to high school and play. Then if they go to high school, they can get scouted. And a lot of how it works here, which is it's not how it works in Australia or England or even where you're from, like Pakistan. It's like, no, it doesn't work like that. Like kids get scouted in high school to go and play sports, and then they can go to like recruited to get on a team. Where that doesn't, there's no recruiting. There's no recruiting in where I'm from. Like you play for your local club, or you move if there's a lot of local clubs around you. You go to the club. You go and basically choose a club, or you try out for a club. Maybe they say, oh, you're not good enough to play in this grade, so you go play for another club. And that's kind of like there's no like recruiting. Like the recruiting would only take place basically, if you were really dominating in club level and someone was like, hey, we'd love to have you on this team. If you want to win a premiership, come with us because you're more likely to win a premiership playing for us and playing for the team you're currently playing for. But yeah, it's kind of like it's local. It's all kind of like locally grown. It's no like scouting. So that's kind of the difference here is that like, if you're wanting your kid to go a certain direction, you're, not hanging your hat on cricket. You're hanging your hat on them being good at baseball or football.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we have to apply like, one of the models that is proven and it works for maybe another country that's similar to the US. And if we look at, UK, you brought up Australia, right, earlier, but UK has this all-star cricket program, which is designed for 5 to 8 year old, right? And that's essentially across the board. Like it's a national level program. You get kids into that all-star program and they will get ready for that next level for the under 12s or the under 13s, by just going through this program of, all-star. So I think maybe we need that singular approach where, USA Cricket comes up with an initiative to launch this youth program where, I think they're already working on a couple of programs, but it's different. They're working on the nationals and the under 19s and the under 23s. I think it's the model right now they're going with. But we're talking about like an early age, right? Getting these kids ready for under 13 and making sure that they're playing higher level cricket by the time they're 15 and 16 and, can get to the national side, even at 19 or 20. That's the ultimate goal, is to get them ready at that point.
Yeah. I mean, like I'm not on the USA committee or whatever, but what it seems like is that they're not growing the grassroots because they don't even have anything set up. Like there's nothing set up for them. Like basically they're like, we have enough people to have teams. We have enough people to have under 15s, under 19s, minor league and major league cricket. We have enough players to do that without the viewership. So let's not complicate it, because if we have an influx of another, right now they say 50 million people, viewers that watch cricket, and maybe we have a pool of like 5,000 cricketers or whatever. I'm not sure what the pool is, but if that all of a sudden, if that quadruples, if we have like 20,000 cricketers currently available to play cricket, there's no infrastructure for them to play. So I don't think they want that headache, because that means they got to like build stadiums and build cricket grounds and do all this kind of stuff, which we don't have. So they're just happy to have the South Asian communities growing cricket on their own, whether they were played cricket in India or Pakistan and then moved to America, or they just had parents that migrated here and then taught them cricket while they were here. And now they're coming up, because again, all these sides that are playing under 19s, under 15s, they're all South Asian. They're not, original, like, they don't, you know what I'm saying? So, so that's the other thing too, is that like, I don't think there's a big problem from the top down that if they grow cricket, they would have to grow the entire nation, and then they have to grow all the infrastructure to go with it. And then they have a problem where do we put all these people? There's nowhere for them to go. Like the infrastructure in Australia is every town has a cricket team. Every town's got a cricket oval. Every town's got a cricket club. There's a league in every region. Every region has a major stadium.
Yeah.
Every region goes to a state level facility. Every state level facility has an academy. Every academy filters in to the majors, and then you go play for
Yeah.
Australia. Like, it all just filters up. So
Yeah, but
you
the
don't have
problem
any of
here
it.
is, right, like with the youth stuff that I've seen, right, is that USA Cricket relies on volunteers, right? So all the
Yep.
work that's being done on the youth level right now is just through hard volunteer. Nobody gets anything for their time, so it's literally finding, people that are really willing to invest their own time, their own money, their own efforts into, growing the game here, right? So shout out to those guys, man, because those guys are the true heroes, guys like Jay, because he's been at this for the last 20 years, working, trying to improve kids and starting, his youth programs and launching it with the city, and where it is now, wouldn't have been here if he didn't think about this 20 years ago, right? So that's what I mean. And it's hard because, there's not many volunteers. So
Mhm.
USA Cricket needs, funding. Again, we come to that aspect of it, because without revenue and funding, and if you can't pay and invest in the right areas, how do you expect to grow, right? So
Yeah.
that's another big challenge, when it comes to funding. But again, the brand deals, media deals, TV broadcast rights, those are the things that these guys need to, leverage, and obviously brands, marketing, advertising, get revenue in through the door by leveraging USA Cricket's brand along with other big brands, right? It's literally just a phone call and tell them, dude, are you interested in this? Like, I don't think anybody's doing that, or anybody's even interested at the top
Yeah.
administrative level to figure this out. But,
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of it has to do with the town. So, like, if you
yeah,
consider Australian cricket, like, every cricket club is volunteer to some level, in even in Australian cricket, but
yeah,
the towns are heavily involved in the infrastructure portion. So
yeah,
it's not on the club to build anything.
yeah,
Obviously the ground is put there by the town, and obviously the facilities can be, renovated by the club. But generally in speaking, that the towns are what do a lot of the
yeah,
legwork, because it brings community to the area. And in Australia, the community revolves around basically like rugby and cricket, and soccer. So that's what they kind of like. Your taxpayer dollars go towards, and so your taxpayer dollars here are going towards baseball and football fields. And it's not like the care isn't really there to have, well, not the care, but I mean, like, the urgency isn't there to be like, oh, let's let our taxpayer dollars go towards building a cricket facility also. But
well,
it
that
should,
money
because
that money gets come down from the NCAA, right? I mean, we discussed this because, again, that status is what drives that revenue down to the schooling system, from the college level down to the high school level, because those sports have that status, right? The NCAA. And, we've spoken about it, again, the cricket NCAA status of what we would need to do. Right. And, we discussed this a little bit too, Adam. You want to talk a little bit about that NCAA status? Because I know there was a bit of confusion about the actual,
yes.
criteria of getting it.
Yeah, so obviously the NCAA and the college system is new to me as a new American, because we don't have that in
Yeah,
Australia. But from what we've figured out, there's a thing called Title IX, and the Title IX basically is a non-discrimination clause or amendment to basically say that both male and female sports have to be equal to some degree inside of college. But that it really isn't as simple as like has to be equal. It's just basically you can't discriminate against. So if you take football, for example, there isn't women's football, and football in NCAA is the biggest, thing since sliced bread here in the USA. And you also consider that men's baseball, there isn't women's baseball. It's women's. They actually built a whole new
softball.
sport
Yeah,
to
yeah,
play softball for, right? So it has to do with the need. So if there is a need, let's say there is a group of 11 players that build a club and they want to make a cricket side. If there's 11 girls that want to build a cricket team also, you can't say no. That's basically what the Title IX does. It doesn't mean you have to have two teams to make it work for your club or for your college. It just means that if there is availability or a need for the team, a women's team, then you have to say yes. You
yeah.
can't say no. So that's all it is. So we would have 20, I believe it's 20 clubs. You need 20 clubs inside of the college system to make it work. We would have that 20 college system locked down.
For
You
the
would just
male
get,
side. Yeah,
yeah, you would just get just take just get 11 Pakistan Indian guys together and say, hey, we're a cricket team right now.
Yeah.
Then you have all those pop up across the country. Because
Yeah.
when I played grade cricket, there was
Exactly.
the local university had a cricket side. So you could only play for that cricket side if you're from the university. And, they played in all of the grades. They didn't play in first grade because generally you're not going to have enough first grade level players at the college all at one time to play, but they played like fourth grade, third grade, second grade, some CNS and village style cricket. And yeah, I think you're going to have enough guys to make teams in these colleges, and it only has to be 20 across the hundreds of thousands of colleges we have, and you put them in the pockets where there's already facilities, and because they have rugby and stuff already built into these
Yeah.
colleges, and rugby is synonymous with the cricket. All the English guys, all these
Yeah.
traditional colleges, they play the English traditional style games. It's not far-fetched to get it put in there.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it existed. I mean, American college cricket, a lot of the US players back when Osaka was in charge before USA Cricket, there were players that were being fed from American college cricket system. So Rob Netravalkar is one player who's played in that system, and a couple other guys that have played through that system. And, I'm connected with, one of the founders of that on Facebook. And, if he's watching this, I would drop some thoughts into the comments. Let us know, what happened with that, because it was doing well from when I was following it, because I went to school in Florida, and I remember that, American college cricket just kind of popping off at that time back in 2007, 2008. And, it became pretty big up until 2011, 2012. It was being streamed. One of our buddies, even Mark, I believe he was streaming some stuff out of New York, for the American college cricket. So, I'm not sure what happened. They even had a partnership going with Coca-Cola, but some political thing was going on in the back end, which, I'm not sure of, but
yeah,
it kind of totally died down after that. So if anybody knows, again, whatever happened to American college cricket, drop your thoughts into the comments, because I feel like that was a lot of good work being done, and it was all kind of squashed for something, which is an unknown reason right
it
now.
would be interesting. It'd be interesting to know. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, big time, because, you could learn from that and maybe try again and, see where we went wrong and try and get that NCAA status. I'm not sure if they were thinking about that NCAA status back then, or what was the, bottleneck. And just learning about those things, right? Because if we can understand what bottlenecks they faced, maybe we can do better this time, because they had over like 40, 50 colleges, involved, if I'm not mistaken. So they already had the numbers in schools where they can relaunch these clubs.
And I mean, to be honest, it really only takes, like, if you were to start it again, it only really takes two clubs. Like, if you had two colleges that were close enough together with enough, what's the word, like, drive to play against each other, I'm not sure exactly which colleges it would be, but think about the rivalries from football. You have, Tennessee versus Texas or whatever, or, Alabama versus this. If you had colleges close enough to each other that wanted to play these competitive games, you could put your university club together, and then just do it. And then, people you start the ball rolling.
You can stream your own matches too on YouTube, right? I mean, these days it's not like hard to, go and get a camera and download the software and do your own streaming, and you can put these games out, introduce it to new people locally. And, that's what it's all about, because once that kicks off in its own, you can go to those presidents and request Division I status when you have competitiveness across the board, and consistent tournaments. And if that takes off, we get that NCAA status, and boom, that money rolls right down. It's like a $5 million plus funding, that Peter mentioned in one of our podcasts, right? That we dropped. So that funding is what we need to really target, because that state funding, and the government funding will only come if we get that status. So, something to work towards, for the admins and, for us as cricket lovers here in America, because we're continuing to work on the grassroots. And, but it's also about teaching the kids that we're working with currently that when you get to colleges, make sure you're part of a club, or if there's not a club, you start a club, be a leader, and those types of things is what's going to really matter down the stretch, in my opinion. So we've, let's talk about Adam, getting support from the US community, because I think, a key point here is, again, if we want to focus on the kids and future of American cricket, we have to get obviously kids involved, parents involved, the US community involved. So how do we unite this, man? I know one idea was to, we brought up to launch that, one umbrella kind of a program, 5 to 8, an all-star program, the way England does it. If we had a national level program, if kids wanted to join, you get everybody in there, find coaches to deliver that program to the kids and introduce it to as many people as you can. And you can also leverage like softball and, other big events. There are, I think, Little League softball events where you can introduce it to girls, have community events. So what else do you envision, man, when it comes to, community engagement?
Well, I think it's getting it televised and making it like popular. Like the sport has to become popular and made popular. And I think, as Americans, you guys feel like football became popular and it's like it became your sport, and baseball became your sport because it's televised and what's talked about. If you just unplug the television on football and baseball, well, now what are you going to watch? Like that's kind of like, I guess you have basketball to watch, but you watch those sports because that's part of the culture. It's part of American culture. You watch those 3 sports. So to get cricket moving in the country, cricket has to be added into that mix. Like we have pickleball on ESPN. We have competitive tag. Have you seen competitive tag? Literally, it's like the kid game where you like tag, you're it. Like there's literally competitive tag. We have like American Ninja Warrior on there. You have all these like novelty sports that have this like brand new out of the box sports. Like even things like skating or surfing or like any of these sports that technically get televised that have ESPN airtime. You have cricket. It's the second largest sport in the world that we basically actively don't participate in from a televised perspective. So that's really the key, that you're never going to get the American sports fan involved if they're going to have to search out for cricket, because most people, don't even know it exists, or think, it's that's the game the Australians play that goes for 5 days, and they know that we beat Pakistan because everyone talked about it for a week, but that's basically it. So I'm not sure what the drive or what the reasoning behind is, like not advertising it or not making it talked about. It just takes one of those people to, like, even if it came on the end of your ESPN broadcast and be like, hey, by the way, today 2 USA players scored hundreds in their game against United Arab Emirates. Like that's newsworthy stuff. It just as newsworthy as, like, I'm going to do a video about how Utani scored a 50-50.
Yep. It's crazy, right? Man.
Like, well, first
player in history. First player in history.
Right. So you say crazy. And so the first thing that I say, I have this whole thing about American stats. We're going to get a little sidetrack here, but we're going to go down the rabbit hole. America records the stupidest stats, okay? 50 home runs, sure, take that. So when I saw a 50-50, okay, I thought that he scored 50 home runs because the video clip was him hitting the home run. 50 home runs, and then he also got 50 strikeouts in the year because I knew he was a pitcher. But then I find out he isn't even pitching, and the 50 is steals. And I'm like, well, hang on a minute. Do these steals actually, how many of those 50 steals actually equated to a run being scored? I don't think all of them.
No,
probably not even like, I don't know, maybe 10 of them. I don't know. I don't know what the stat is, but I'm like, it's the same equivalent of having these like double doubles in the NBA and saying that, like, okay, Angel Reese missed 3 layups in a row, so we're going to count that as 3 rebounds. No, it's a stupid stat. You don't need to record that stat.
Yeah, but the idea is that, he gets into the scoring position. So he's relying on another hitter. Let's say he hits a single, he gets to first base, he steals second. Now he's in a scoring position. So he's relying on whoever's at bat to hit a base hit, essentially. If the batter hits a single, he comes around and scores, right? So the stolen base
I understand how it works.
Opportunity.
Yeah, it gives you the opportunity, but it doesn't actually advance the game. It's like a random stat. That's what I'm saying. Like Angel Reese getting a double means she missed 3 layups, but because she caught her own ball, that's counted as 3 rebounds. It's an unnecessary stat because we don't have unnecessary stats in cricket. And so my point is that Lavershame, he had a world record stat that was like way crazier than a 50-50. He had a 3-4-50. He
Wow.
took 3 wickets, 4 catches, and scored 50 runs in the same game, which had never been done before ever. And
Wow.
I'm
Wow.
like, that's no, obviously he's from Australia, but like it's stats like that come from cricket that like
Yeah.
don't get put into the media. And obviously the Australian team wouldn't get put in the American media. But the stat today of like USA cricket team should be like headline scores their
Big time.
biggest runs of all time. 2 USA cricketers scored hundreds in the one game. And like I made a video today, it's kind of like 2 cricketers scored 2 grand slams in the same game, like 2 baseballers scoring 2 grand slams in the same game. That's kind of what 100 is. 100 is kind of
Yeah.
like a grand slam. It's kind of like
Yeah.
the biggest thing that can happen is getting 4 at once. So the biggest thing I can say is getting 100 is 4 at once. So, and it's not talked about. It should be on ESPN. It should be on The Herd. It should be on this whatever talk shows. The pardon my take, all these big talk shows, sports talk shows should be talking about USA cricket. They should be because
Yeah.
it's big.
I think it's probably has to do again with the funding, man. The funding and the investment that's needed to really reach out to these, brands or individuals to really get them to be a part of it, because I think the money is lack. But again, that can be fixed if you have a strategic approach, right? If you have a strategic approach and if you go one at a time and try and get your revenue up and invest in the right areas, you'll see those growth. But again, right now it just seems like we're on that hamster wheel, just trying to build that credibility, so we can level with these bigger sporting platforms to be a part of it. But right now I just feel like the credibility is lacking. Our admins have been switched in the last couple of decades, so a lot of mishaps and a lot of political things as well. So I think we need to clear up our own act, to try and make sure we put out the best type of image for USA cricket as we can. And that only comes with the right marketing and the right advertising, finding the right partners and making sure that we're leveraging our current resources and maximizing them. Because I think right now it's again lacking, and we're really missing out on a lot of big opportunities.
Yeah.
But the U.S. cricketing community can support by again, being part of these clubs, volunteering for youth cricket programs, helping out, getting cricket in schools, right? So if you are a cricket enthusiast, you want to be a part of it, introduce it to kids in the school, man, and work with them, find a field, recruit coaches, get some basic equipment, and make it part of PE or after school activities, and see what kind of interest you get. Because I think that has to get started, somewhere, introducing it to the school levels, because right now is non-existent. I mean, it's in some schools in New York. Actually, there is a youth cricket league in New York, so maybe it's something that we can learn from, because they have schooling cricket over there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, some really good points. I think back to the talk shows, getting it on board and getting it on ESPN and stuff. Have to give a shout out to Will from the Trailer Park Sports Network, up and coming TikToker. Kind of grew through the Olympics and into the Paralympics, and the way that he comes at it from a kind of like independent sports broadcaster as he's growing into, is he comes at it from the perspective of it's Team USA. Because Americans can get behind Team USA, just like we get behind Team USA for the Olympics. He comes to it from not knowing cricket really at all, but he comes to it from the perspective of, hey, this is Team USA. Team USA is doing really good. Here's how Team USA is doing. And it's like cricket is kind of like the secondary piece of his communication to like the information. So because Americans can get behind USA, like USA, super passionate about supporting USA. USA loves supporting themselves in sport. I think one of the ways that we can get across the line and getting more people to talk about it is talk about it from the perspective of it's Team USA is doing something well, and refer to them as Team USA, so that we have people like matching, like, hey, they're our cricket team that's doing really well. It's our, rugby team that's doing very well. Like, instead of using the actual sport itself, using that they're under the Team USA banner to drive the advertising, not advertising, but driving the like, hey, the awareness on, hey, this is what's happening because this is Team USA doing this.
Yeah. It's about the feel good factor, right? About being part of just supporting USA team and what they're doing. And I think it's what happens around Olympics time as well as the World Cup times, when soccer World Cup happens or Olympic happens, people are behind the USA basketball team, for example. But again, it's very far and few between. That culture is only there in those certain moments, but it hasn't like stuck around, like it is in the American sports culture. Like, yeah, you're a fan of the New England Patriots or the Jets or the Giants, so that culture here is broken down just between states, right? So I think we also need to adapt to that type of a setup, right? And see how we can also approach state level teams and clubs where they can actually continue to get to a level where they can become state level teams, right? So you have a state national level program, and then you can feed that system into the US and cricketing system. But again, it needs to be a very clear thought out process. It needs a lot of work to achieve all of that. And yeah, I mean, like, we've discussed all of our points on the youth cricket, and we have some questions. We're going to answer some questions for the fans. If you guys have any questions, drop them in the comments. Let us know what's your vision for youth cricket in America. How do you see youth cricket growing, and what you would like to envision cricket here. So we want to hear from you guys. So drop your thoughts into the comments. Any questions you guys have, feel free to drop them in the comments, and we're happy to engage with all the viewers here. So besides that, Adam, you got anything else you want to add?
No, it's kind of a wrap, I think, on the youth cricket for the day. I know in cricket news, currently we have Australia versus England right now. And England kind of won today with help by the rain. I'm going to say that because obviously biased, but no, Harry Brooks scored 110 today. I'm very disappointed that the rain stopped play because I wanted to see a game come down to the wire. I personally have a lot of UK fans that follow me on TikTok, and there's a lot of been back and forth banter on the Aussies because they've done very well. England threw away the second game, but it's obviously the Ashes, and the Australia versus England is like the second, or the best. It's obviously the best, from my opinion, the best cricket rivalry. And that rivalry, we can talk about, does help drive kids' sports. Like, kids in these countries, in my country, in England, they aspire to be that amazing cricketer because that's the pinnacle of playing cricket, is playing the Ashes. Yeah. And obviously we're playing the one days, but we still give it like full throttle against the Pommies, So
absolutely,
I really wanted to have a game come down to the wire to really see how it would going to go, but rain washed it out, so England ended up winning by DLS. But yeah, Harry Brooks scored 110, so good on him. I know he's filling in as captain, so good on him. And it's always good for cricket to see people score hundreds, and it's just, I love that.
It's the best feeling, man. It's the best feeling. Yeah. And if you've scored 100 and the feeling, let us know in the comments. Because again, it is one of the best feelings to score 100 and lift that bat, and and it's even better if your team wins, right? So
the day I scored my 100, we obviously won.
Yeah.
I just
my 100s have been winning causes, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, I think it would be hard to score 100 and lose. That would be hard.
Hey, it happens all the time.
It would be hard. Yeah, I think it would be hard.
Time, man. Yeah, it happens with Pakistan all the time. Let's say. Score 100, take a 5-wicket haul, and hey, we still lose, man.
Well, there's a meme in there. We have to do a meme video for that. It's like, oh, hi, I'm Pakistan. I just scored 100 and a 5 for still lost.
Yeah.
Still lost. How'd you go cricket today? It's like, like a young Pakistani guy, boy comes home to his mom. He's like, oh, hey, son, how did cricket today? Oh, mom, I scored 100, took 5 wickets. Did you win? No.
Nope. After every game I come home, is the first question my wife asks me, did you win? And I have to answer very carefully.
Yeah. Well, I scored 100. That's not what I asked. I asked, did you win?
Yeah. Oh my God. That's so funny. But again, I think that's a wrap for us for the night. If you guys don't have any questions, let us know in the comments if you have anything. We're going to be calling it off soon from here. We've discussed, youth cricket, and how to get youth excited about cricket in America. Talked about the USA cricket updates, where USA has won their 4th straight ODI and are crushing in that, Cricket World League 2
I think the next game is
And
actually
yeah,
on Friday. Another game on Friday, I think.
yeah, I think they're
There's a bunch coming
playing.
up. So just to be clear, so if you are watching and you want to follow what's happening with this Cricket World Cup League fixture, USA has to be in the top 4 to go
Yeah,
through to there's like basically there's a whole ranking system. We're playing like 36 games over the next couple of months, and we are currently in third. Our last win put us into third. So we are doing very well. We're doing very, very well. It would be almost impossible for us to not qualify for the World Cup at this point. So we're doing very well. Very well.
yeah,
Basically, Netherlands will probably end up above us because they beat us, but they've played more
yeah,
games than us. So at this point, we're sitting in at third, but haven't played all of our games. It's going to go over the next couple of months. So
yeah, absolutely. And some of the
we're
top
looking real good.
performers,
We're looking real good.
yeah, some tougher performers during this, stretch of ODIs have been, Milan Kumar is a guy, scored 155 today. He's been the highest run scorer, 354 runs in 7 innings at an average of 70.80. And we have the skipper Monank Patel, who scored 321 runs in 7 innings at an average of 53.50. Then at number 3, we have Smit Patel. In 8 innings, he has an average of 40. So and scored 278 runs. So these are the top 3 scorers right now, in the last 7 innings for USA Cricket. And then if we look at the top wicket takers, yeah, we have Noshtus Kinjige, who we constantly talk about. This guy's a hard worker, man. I think he's a big superstar.
Best smile in the game.
If he just gets his personality out there, man, on social media, I think he's gonna have a lot of fans, and he can attract a lot of younger guys to do.
I'm gonna call him the Steph Curry of cricket. That's what I'm gonna. Call him. He's got a good smile. He's got a real good smile. He's got a marketable smile.
Absolutely, man. He should be doing his own content. So, him and then Shadley Van Schalkwyk's also at 13 wickets at an average of 21, and Jasdeep Singh at an average 12 wickets at an average of 24. So these guys have performed, man, and have done well as a team, and well led by the skipper as well. So the team's doing well. Super happy and excited about that.
Something that I also just learned is that Goose, or I call him Goose, but this is actually the first ODIs that he's actually played for USA. He actually hasn't played ODIs for them before. Obviously, he played for South Africa, but he hasn't played not legit South Africa, but South Africa in general. But all of his cricket all of his stats are actually in T20 competition, and these are actually his first ODIs for the USA. So when you look at his stats, you're like, why is that so low? It's like, oh, because these are the first ODIs he's played. But he's played many T20s for the USA, so it's good to have him. Yeah. He's going to score. He's definitely going to score some runs.
He's our most impactful player, man. I mean, in 3 matches, 152 runs, 81 high, 76 average, and striking at 116. That's the highest strike rate after, Milan Kumar's, I think, is another one that's batted at a fairly high clip. If I can pull that up here on my side, 116.06. for Milan Kumar, 116.03 for Andres Gauss. So, and the rest of the guys are mostly around 80, 70, 60s.
Yeah.
But these 2 guys in particular, just looking at the strike rate from their current squad of 17, 18 players that I'm seeing here, these 2 guys are striking really well. So I think they're, somebody to absolutely get ready for the next T20 World Cup and start to build, that team and the momentum. Because I think we can upset, man. We can get to that top 8, and we can even get to the top 4, and who knows, maybe we win all the way, man. 2026.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. So T20 World Cup, USA.
T20 World Cup. That's it.
Yeah. So
we're gonna make it.
We can win it, man. We can win it. We got this.
We can win it. That's what I'm saying. We're gonna make it all the way. Probably our biggest. I'm mostly scared about Afghanistan. Afghanistan's scary, bro. Afghanistan is good.
We need our own Glenn Maxwell, maybe the tryout or Adam Bannon, man.
There should be a meme. The next time there has to be a meme. If I was on Cricket Australia's social media account and Australia was playing Afghanistan, I would put up the team sheet and it would just be Glenn Maxwell.
Oh,
that's it. God. That would be the team sheet. That is
Glenn
like Maxwell,
tweeted out. With a plus sign, injured on one leg.
Retired hurt,
and still won the game.
Oh man!
Oh my God, that was classic.
It must be. Imagine being an Afghanistan team like that. I'd have nightmares about that game. That would have absolute nightmares about that game.
Dude, that innings was essentially what led me to do my first video on the reverse scoop. So if I pull
Really?
back, if I pull back in November, of last year when I think it was 2023, November of
Yeah,
2023,
something like that.
when
Yeah.
he played that inning, I was like, dude, this innings I have to do a video on, and I had everything ready for the channel, but I was just being lazy for the past year, so busy with work and whatnot. But
Yeah.
that ending, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just do it, man. A video on that, and that was a launch, the official launch of the reverse scoop. And right now, that video is unlisted, but maybe I should relaunch it. you know?
Relaunch it for sure. Relaunch
Yeah,
it. Relaunch
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, people need to watch
But
that. It's good. Very
absolutely,
good.
man. So
Well, good pod tonight,
I think
mate.
that's all we have. Yeah, great pod, guys. If you guys don't have any questions, we're here. Adam and I are here chilling. If you guys have any question, let us know before we call it off. And if you got nothing, then you guys will see us next week for another episode on the reverse scoop. And we're
Make sure to give a
gonna
shout out to the top 10 videos in the Verse Scoop.
oh,
Top 10 Australian
absolutely,
fast bowlers, top 10 batters. Make sure to go watch those
absolutely.
videos.
If you haven't
Like and
checked out our
subscribe.
ranking videos, yeah, a
Like and
lot of
subscribe.
videos. And we got a lot coming for you guys as well on Australian rankings, and we already have our West Indies rankings up. We're going to be doing England and other countries, so stay tuned. Right, the idea is to educate America on cricket, tell you guys about the big icons of cricket, and these ranking videos really achieve that from our perspective and really engages fans from these countries. So definitely check those episodes out. There's a lot of content to look through, and let us know any ideas you guys have on what type of content you guys want to see. Make sure to check the links in the description. The Reverse Scoop shop, where we support youth cricket development through New Milford Cricket Club's programs, and we support them. Back. It's a nonprofit funded program, and any sales that we get through the shop, we kick back part of it to New Milford Cricket. So definitely check those out to support youth cricket, as well as there's links in the description if you want to create content like this. You can get good discounted prices from those links. Check those out. And I think that's all I have from here. Adam, you want to add anything before we call it off?
That's a wrap. That's a wrap.
Absolutely. And make sure to subscribe, like, and we'll catch you guys next week. Nabil Khan and Adam Bannon from the Reverse Scoop signing off. Have a great night.